The ink dried on the divorce papers before either of them spoke. Ava's fingers trembled as she slid her copy into her bag, the crisp sound of paper louder than the courtroom's hum. Lucas stood stiffly beside her, his jaw clenched. Of lemon disinfectant mixed with the courthouse's stale air, far cry from the jasmine perfume she'd worn on their wedding day. "You have everything?" Luca asked, voice clipped. Eva nodded, avoiding his eyes. 3 years of marriage reduced to a stack of documents and a silence so thick it choked her. She turned to leave, but the room tilted, her vision spotting with black. The last thing she heard was Luca's shout, her name raw in his throat as her knees hit the tile. Hospital lights. Eva blinked against the glare, her throat parched. Lucas slumped in a chair beside her, his sleeves rolled up, hair disheveled. He looked up, eyes red-rimmed. "You scared me," he muttered. Before she could reply, the doctor entered. "Miss Torres, your fainting spell was due to low blood pressure? Not uncommon given your condition. Ava's hand drifted to her stomach. "You're 8 weeks. Pregnant." Lucas' chair screeched as he stood. Ava's pulse pounded in her ears. Pregnant. The word unraveled her. She'd blamed the nausea on stress, the fatigue on grief. Luca reached for her, then stopped. "Eva, don't," she recoiled. "This doesn't change anything." His face darkened. "It changes everything." The air between them crackled. She remembered this Luca, the one who demanded, who conflated love with control. But then his shoulders sagged. "Let me drive you home." Eva hesitated. The baby shifted nothing, yet everything, she exhaled. "Fine, but just home." In the car, Luca gripped the wheel too tight. "I'll be at every appointment. I won't let you do this alone." She stared out the window. Alone was safer. Alone was how she'd learned to breathe again. But the weight of his gaze, the unspoken plea-ite, undid her. "1 appointment," she conceded. Luca's knuckles whitened. "Thank you." The city blurred. Past Eva pressed a hand to her abdomen. Somewhere beneath her palm, a heartbeat fluttered, a life already caught between them. The first time Eva met Luca, he was arguing with a barista in Rome. She had been sitting at a cafe near the Pantheon, sketching the curve of ancient columns in her notebook. When his voice cut through the hum of tourists, sharp, precise, and unyielding. "No, I ordered an espresso. This is a cappuccino." The barista flustered, stammered an apology. Eva watched, amused, as the stranger, tall, dark-suited, with a jawline that could cut glass, pushed the cup back. With a apology, "I want what I paid for." She hadn't meant to laugh. But the sound slipped out, and his head snapped toward her. For a heartbeat, those storm-gray eyes locked onto hers. Then, to her surprise, the corner of his mouth lifted. "You find this funny?" "Find it very Italian," she said, closing her sketchbook. "A battle over coffee?" He took the espresso the barista thrust at him, then slid into the chair across from her without asking. "Luca, Eva." That was how it began. Dash, dash now. The ultrasound gel was cold on Ava's stomach. Luca stood rigidly by the exam table, his gaze fixed on the screen. The technician moved the wand, and a rhythmic whoosh-whoosh filled the room. "There's the heartbeat," the woman said, smiling. Ava's breath caught, a tiny flickering pulse. "Alive?" Luca's hand brushed hers just once, fleeting before he shoved both into his pockets. "Strong," he said, voice rough. She didn't look at him. If she did, she might remember how his hands had felt tracing constellations on her bare skin in that Rome hotel room. Whispering, "You're the only thing that's ever made sense to me." Double quotes, dash, dash, then Rome became Venice. "Lucas, work allowed for remote meetings?" and Ava's freelance architecture projects could be done anywhere. They spent 2 months in a haze of wine-stained kisses and train rides through the countryside. "Marry me," he said one night, pressing her against the railing of a bridge over the Seine. She laughed. "You're insane. Never been more serious." His fingers tightened on her waist. "Say yes," she did. "Now, you need to eat more protein," Lucas said as they left the clinic. He'd memorized the doctor's instructions verbatim. Eva rolled her eyes. "I've been pregnant for 8 weeks without your notes, Luca. I'll manage." A muscle twitched in his jaw. "I'm trying to help." "By lecturing me?" She stopped on the sidewalk, the autumn wind tangling her hair. "That's not help. That's control." He flinched. For a second, she saw the old Luca, the one who'd snap back, who'd remind her he knew best. But then his shoulders dropped. "You're right, I'm sorry." Eva blinked. An apology from him? Before she could respond, his phone buzzed. He glanced at it, then silenced the call. "Work?" she asked. "Always." But this time he didn't excuse himself to take it. Then. The fight started small. "You're really wearing that?" Luca asked when she dressed for a gallery opening. "What's wrong with it? It's too short." She went anyway. He sulked the whole night. Then came the missed birthdays. The "I don't like that friend of yours." The way he'd rearrange her kitchen because it's more efficient this way. The last straw was when he vetoed her solo trip to Barcelona. "It's not safe." "I've traveled alone since I was 20, she snapped. "You're not alone anymore. That was the problem." Now. Luca walked her to her apartment door, hovering. Like he wanted to say more. "I'll text you the next appointment," Eva said, digging for her keys. "Let me cook for you tonight." The request startled her. Luca hadn't cooked for her since Rome. She hesitated. "Why?" "Because I want to." Simple. No demands. Eva studied him, the shadows under his eyes. The way his fingers flexed like he was stopping himself from reaching for her. Maybe he was trying. Maybe it wouldn't last. 1 hour, she said. "Then you leave." He nodded. 1 hour. Inside. She leaned against the door, listening to his retreating footsteps. The baby kicked her. Maybe it was just her pulse, wild and uncertain. The cafe smelled like roasted almonds and burnt espresso. Eva stirred honey into her tea, listening as Milo, her old university friend, ranted about his latest art installation. "They called it too provocative," he said, tossing his hands up. "Since when is a sculpture of a melting clock provocative?" Eva laughed, the sound lighter than it had been in weeks. "You've always had a talent for pissing people off." Milo grinned, leaning in. "Speaking of house, the ex." Her smile faded. "Complicated." He nudged her foot under the table. "Still hot, though?" She rolled her eyes but didn't answer. That's when she felt it, the shift in the air. To prickle at the back of her neck, she turned. Lucas stood in the doorway. His expression was stone, but his knuckles were white around the strap of his briefcase. 5 minutes earlier, Luca had been on his way to a client meeting when he spotted her. Eva, at a corner table, sunlight catching the gold in her hair. Gosh. And across from her, Dasha Milo. Richie, the artist. The one who'd liked every one of Ava's Instagram posts for years. The one who'd accidentally texted her at 2 a.m. once, claiming he meant to send it to someone else. Luca's blood turned to acid. He should have kept walking. He didn't. "Now, Luca." Ava's voice was careful. Milo raised an eyebrow. "Well, this is awkward." Luca ignored him, his gaze locked on Eva. "You didn't mention you were meeting him?" "I don't have to." A muscle in his jaw jumped. "No, you don't." Silence. Milo cleared his throat. "Should. Eh?" "Stay," Eva said. At the same time, Luca snapped. "Leave." Milo hesitated, then stood. "I'll call you, Eva." Luca waited until he was gone before stepping closer. "You're still in touch? It's a friend? It's wanted." "You, for years." Eva exhaled sharply. "You don't get to decide who I talk to." "I'm not," he cut himself off, dragging a hand through his hair. "You're pregnant. Alone with a guy who what?" Her voice dropped too. A whisper. "Who respects me. Who doesn't try to control me." Luca flinched. She stood, tossing cash onto the table. "I'm done with this conversation." He caught her wrist. Eva let go. For a second he didn't. His thumb brushed her pulse point, a touch so familiar it ached. Then slowly, he released her. She walked out without looking back. Later, Luca called 6 times. Eva ignored each one. She was packing an overnight bag when her doorbell rang. Go away. Luca. It's me. A woman's voice. Eva opened the door to find Luca's sister Sophia holding a paper bag. He sent bribes. She lifted it. Your favorite almond croissants. Eva sighed. I don't want them. Good because I ate. One, on the way over. Sophia stepped inside, eyeing the bag on Eva's bed. Going somewhere? The coast? Just for a few days? Ah. Sophia hesitated. He's an idiot, you know? I know, but he's trying. Eva zipped the bag shut. Not hard enough. Sophia studied her. You still love him? The question hung in the air. Eva didn't answer. That night, Lucas stood outside Eva's building, staring at her. Dark windows. His phone buzzed. Another work email. He ignored it. He should have walked away at the cafe, should have trusted her. But the second he saw Milo's hand brush Eva's arm, something primal in him snapped. Now, he had no one to blame. But himself. He turned to leave, then froze. Eva's neighbor was unlocking the front door. She's gone, mate, the man said. Left this afternoon. Luca's chest tightened. Did she say when she'd be back? Nope. The wind picked up, sharp with the promise of rain. Luca stood there long after the neighbor left, the truth settling over him like a weight. She was gone, and this time he might not get her back. The sea air should have been calming. Eva sat on the rented cottage's porch, knees pulled to her chest, watching the waves crash against the cliffs. She'd come here to clear her head to escape Luca's suffocating presence, the way his anger had flared so easily at the cafe, but all she could think about was the look on his face when she walked away. Her phone buzzed. Another missed call from Sophia. She ignored it, then dashed pain. A sharp, twisting cramp low in her stomach. She gasped, fingers digging into the wooden railing. No, not now. 2 hours earlier, Luca paced his apartment. Sophia's words ringing in his ears. She's not answering my texts. You really fucked up this time, he knew. God, he knew. His phone lit up an unknown number. He almost didn't answer. Luca. A stranger's voice tense. This is Dr. Hale from St. Mary's. Eva Torres was brought in. The world tilted. What? Happened? Placental abruption? She's stable, but we need to deliver the baby. Luca was already grabbing his keys. I'm on my way. Now the hospital smelled like antiseptic and fear. Luca sprinted through the corridors, skidding to a stop outside Eva's room. A doctor blocked his path. Mr. Moretti, where is she? Prepping for surgery. The doctor hesitated. There's a complication. Luca's blood turned to ice. The abruption caused significant bleeding. If it worsens during delivery, spit it out. We may need to prioritize. The doctor's voice softened. Eva or the baby. Words hit like a fist. You're asking me to choose? We'll do everything we can for both. But if it comes down to it, Luca's hands shook. He thought of Eva's laugh in Rome, the way she'd whispered, I love you against his skin. Thought of the ultrasound, that tiny, flickering. Heartbeats, his throat burned. Save Eva. The doctor nodded, but Luca grabbed his arm. No, wait. He closed his eyes. Save the baby. Because he knew with terrible certainty that it was what she would choose. Dash, Eva darkness. Then blinding light. Eva blinked up at the hospital ceiling, disoriented. Her body ached, her abdomen wrapped in bandages. Leo, her voice cracked. Nurse hurried over. Your son is in the NICU. He's small, but stable. Her breath left her in a rush. Luca. The nurse hesitated. He's outside. He hasn't left since they brought you in. Eva turned her head toward the door. Through the glass, she saw him slumped in a chair, head in his hands. She'd never seen Luca cry. Not when his father died. Not when she left him, but now. His shoulders shook silently. Later, the NICU hummed with machines. Luca stood beside Eva's wheelchair. Both of them staring at the tiny incubator. Leo, their son, slept inside, wires taped to his fragile chest. Eva reached out, pressing her fingertips to the glass. "They told me what you chose," she whispered. Luca stiffened. "Thank you." He exhaled sharply. "I didn't do it for gratitude, I know." She finally looked at him. "You did it because it was the right thing." For the first time in years, Luca had put her first. Not his pride, not his need to control. Her. His hand brushed hers, tentative, questioning. Eva didn't pull away. The first time Luca changed a diaper, he nearly passed out. Eva watched from the bed, exhausted but amused, as he grimaced at Leo's wriggling legs. "It's like defusing a bomb," he muttered, fumbling with the tabs. "Just don't tape his thigh." "To his stomach," she said. And Luca shot her a glare, but his lips twitched. A laugh bubbled up in her chest, surprising them both. Weeks passed in a blur. Luca came every morning before work, bearing coffee and the almond croissants Eva craved. He learned to swaddle Leo in record time, his large hands improbably gentle. One night, Eva woke to find Luca asleep in the rocking chair, Leo curled against his chest. Moonlight painted them silver, and her breath caught. This Luca softened by fatherhood. Unguarded in sleep was someone she barely recognized. Then came the storm. Rain lashed the windows as Eva burped Leo. Luca, soaked from his sprint from the car, dumped groceries on the counter, powers out downtown. "Our roads are flooding. Should go before it gets worse," she said automatically. Thunder rattled the walls. Leo whimpered. Luca didn't move. "I'll sleep on the couch." Eva opened her mouth to protest, but the baby's cry cut her off. "Duh." Luca was already reaching, his let-me barely audible over the storm. She handed Leo over. Their fingers brushed. Neither. Pulled away, dash, midnight. Eva found Luca at the kitchen table, repairing a loose hinge on Leo's crib. "You're still awake," she said. He glanced up. "You should rest. Can't." She sat across from him, the candlelight flickering between them. "Why are you really here, Luca?" The screwdriver stilled. "Where else would I be? Your penthouse, your office. Anywhere but playing handyman in my crumbling apartment." He set the tool down. "I like your apartment, Luca." A sigh. "I'm here because I want to be." His gaze held hers. "Because every time I leave, it feels wrong." The admission hung in the air. Eva traced a scratch on the table, one from the night she'd thrown a wine glass after their worst fight. "What if I can't forgive you?" she whispered. "Then I'll still be here." His voice was rough. "Changing diapers, fixing cribs, whatever you'll let me do." The candle guttered, shadows dancing across his face. Eva remembered Rome, how he'd kissed her in a rainstorm just like this, murmuring forever. Against her lips, she stood abruptly. "You should try to sleep." Double quotes -- dawn. Eva woke to silence. The storm had passed. She padded to the living room and froze. Luca was sprawled on the couch, one arm dangling off the edge. Leo slept on his chest, tiny fingers clutching his shirt. Sunlight streamed through the curtains, turning them gold. Something inside her cracked open. Later, Luca stirred to find Eva watching him. "Morning," he rasped. She didn't smile. "I'm still angry. I know. You hurt me. I know." He sat up carefully, cradling Leo's head. Eva took the baby, their hands overlapping. "But I think, .. She hesitated. "I think I want to try." Luca's breath caught. "Not for Leo. For us." She met his eyes. "If you can really change." He cupped her face, thumb brushing her cheekbone. "Let me show you." God. When he kissed her, it tasted like hope. Epilogue: the mosaic in Ava's studio sat half in shards of glass and pottery, waiting to be pieced together. Luca leaned in the doorway, Leo on his hip. "It's beautiful." "Shh. It's broken," she said. "So were we." He pressed a kiss to her temple. Outside, the first spring breeze stirred the trees, Eva reached for her son and for Luca's hand. Let's go home.